Welcome in, everybody. Man, we are finally here. NBA Finals. I feel like it's been such a world of twists and turns, Dave. Tony Cutillo, Dave Gloeckner. You hear us every single Sunday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on Sirius, channel 87 XM, for whether it be betting needs, DFS needs, just topical sports talk. But, Dave, listen, right off the bat, man, like this is, let's just talk about the Miami Heat just finally getting over that hump. I felt like personally in the second quarter, kind of towards the end before half, it was a wrap. I'm like,
Yeah.
you felt Miami had that stranglehold on, and I was like, I don't think Boston's got it tonight, man. And they didn't, and they never got it together. And Miami finally did. Took them a couple games, but they finally did what they were supposed to do and close the series out.
Well, and it just proves to you how hard it is to win 4 games in a row, right? There's sweeps that happen early on, and that's when you take someone's soul. But to come back on a team, it's been done 150 times, and it's never been accomplished. And it just proves to you once again, with and all the things lined up, a 2 versus an 8, or a 3 versus an 8. No, they were 2. They couldn't do it. And I mean, it just, you have to play perfect basketball for 4 straight games. And Boston ran out a little bit of gas. And that's what it was. They couldn't hit the threes. And when they don't hit threes, they don't defend well. And when they don't defend well, it's a wrap for Boston. So good on Miami, though. Amazing, right? They just, what you said was so, I guess effusive to me, because Miami just put a stranglehold. They never looked like they panicked. They just looked like they were in control the whole time.
Yeah, they did. They really did. And the performances that they were looking for the previous game, lo and behold, Duncan Robinson hitting those shots. He was hitting those shots, but Caleb Martin, man, like I know, listen, I get it. I know we're all talking about it, but we were talking about this before, and now you're just seeing it again, and it's just showing you the amount of culture. I know Heat culture is a thing; it is a hashtag, but I also know that this is what Spoelstra has built on this team culture wise. I mean, talking about he goes from Charlotte, he gets released, and then they pick him up. And man, Dave, I'll tell you what, man, you talk about it, guys getting hot at the right time. It's always, we've seen this before in many different fashions. I mean, listen, we in Major League Baseball, we lived the Cody Ross year, right? I mean, guys just get hot at the right time. I'm not saying he's Cody Ross, but he's going to be an integral part of this series. And he continues to get confidence every single game in the playoffs. And I'll tell you what, man, he has really, really impressed me. Not just him. I mean, you talk about a bunch of these undrafted guys, on this team, like a Gabe Vincent. I mean, another guy who's not afraid. Here's what I was supposed to say this, Dave. These guys, whether they make the shots or miss the shots, they're not afraid at all. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from it.
Yeah, I'll start with Caleb, 7 for 7 on his points total in that series. And if you go back 2 weeks ago to our series Sunday show, I started to open it up where I was starting to take him every game, and it transpired. I liked him back in Nevada when they made the tournament with his twin brother Cody, and then when you saw him on an NBA roster, you're like, oh, maybe. But now, he made himself a lot of money over these past 6-7 games and inserted in the starting lineup in game 6. And we'll get to why I think there's a valuable bet on him coming up. But that insert in the starting lineup is the key words, and we'll get to that. But, yeah, you're right. Gabe Vincent ain't afraid to shoot. But Duncan Robinson, too. Man, he was putting that ear up to the Boston crowd. It was pretty funny. But, with that said, we got to also talk about Denver. This team is on a historic run. Like, they beat Minnesota. Okay, got it. But Phoenix, with Durant, with Booker. I know CP went down, but – they still beat a really good Phoenix team, and they beat them soundly. And then they take this Lakers team that was looking like they were primed for a championship run with LeBron and AD, swept them. This Nuggets team has played some of the most impressive basketball I've seen in the playoffs in quite some years.
Yeah, it really has, and they're really putting it all together, or they actually, I should say, they did put it all together finally. And we watched this and in Philadelphia saying, how are we going to build around a big man in Joel Embiid, and they put the right nucleus around Nikola Jokic, right? I mean, and listen, let's be honest, they drafted well, also. I mean, they developed a team, they developed a scheme that worked, right? And Mike Malone is a really big deal when it comes to that, and he's such a a down to earth kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I pride myself on being authentic. Like you
Yeah.
see me now, it's the same guy you're going to see whether you see me outside or what. Mike Malone's that dude too, man. That's what I like about him. I resonate with him. I really do. His press conferences are
I love him.
fantastic. But I think people are getting carried away with right away, Dave, saying, it's Denver dominant. I don't know who wins this series, and we're gonna get to that. But one thing for sure, I see this game being highly entertaining, or this series rather, highly entertaining. I think it's going to be really competitive, and I don't think we're going to see any blowouts whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, we might see a blowout here or there, like Boston and Miami each got each other once, but it'll be competitively fought the whole time. And I agree with you. It's a lot closer than what I'm seeing in the papers, in the articles, on major sports publications. It's pretty much being handed to Denver. And that will only fuel the Heat even more, if you can even fuel them even more. And I do think it's more competitive than people think. But my favorite bet of this NBA Finals is the Denver Nuggets -1.5. I think it goes 6. That's where I'm at. So I think you can get value on the Nuggets -1.5. You get -160. Taking that for the series, not worth it. If I was going to take anybody, it would be the Heat. But I think if you're going to take the Nuggets at all, take them with at least 1.5. And I think that's a good bet. So that's where I'm starting with my -160. And I'll look at Nuggets and 6 at +400. Those two combined, I think, give me some good value to maybe hedge when I start seeing how this series swerves and moves. Because at +400 in game 6, if Nuggets are 3-2 going into that game, I could probably bet the Heat money line in that game and win either way.
Nuggets in 6 at +400. I like it. Again, Tony Cutillo, Dave Gloeckner here, Win Daily Sports. Make sure you're giving a like and subscribe. Obviously, like we always ask, and always go to windailysports.com. Sign up for your first week for free, getting your membership. Get that free Discord, code where win big, and then $5.99 every week after that for our projection models, our optimization charts, articles, you name it. It's all there. And that's what we're doing right now. We're going to break down some bets that we like, have some fun. Obviously, listen, DFS is going to be a showdown every single day. So you hear what we're going to talk about as far as strategies to take that, parlay that into your DFS, and build that winning lineup. But make sure you hop into that Discord, because that's where those coaches are, and that's where you're going to find all that strategy as well. And again, that is for free. So, Dave, just speaking off of that, right off the bat, Nuggets, Miami, you go to DraftKings right now. The series total of games played. That's good. That's a fun, right? Over 5.5, -140, under 5.5, +115. I like, you said Nuggets in 6. I think 6 is a really good number. There's no sweep in my opinion.
No.
And here's what I will say though. The only thing that worries me is watching the way that he played in game 5 and game 6. And what I mean by that is, Jimmy was kind of absent, and that is their leader. And, once Jimmy's absent or he's having bad games, they really don't have a guy to get up to Jimmy level. Now, they do have some really nice pieces that we just talked about. Looks like they may get Tyler Hero back around game 3. It looks like the early reports.
That's what I was going to say. That's big.
But there's no other Jimmy. And the reason why I say that is because if you flip it to Denver, Dave, and we've watched this when Jokic has started off slow. I mean, I forget what game it was, but Jokic, he went in the fourth quarter, he only had like 8 points, but Jamal Murray was balling. Yep. So they have that other guy, right? So the only thing I'm worried about, Dave, is if Jimmy is not Jimmy.
Yeah, and the few things to build on that. Listen, that was a long series, 7-game series. Now they're going to high altitude to play. So, there could be some rest factors here. I actually think Denver being off for 9 days is worse than Miami playing and having 2 days off. So, but in that sense, the one thing I am worried about from a Heat perspective is Denver's deep. Boston was not deep at all. And, to a point that you got to the bench, they were pretty much just playing 7. And they were, I think we even knew it after coming out of the Boston series. They weren't as good as they were last year. They were vulnerable, and the Heat finally, kind of broke that down. That's not Denver. Denver's deep. They hit you from all angles. KCP can come in. Michael Porter Jr. Can take over a game at times. Aaron Gordon even had a couple of great games. They're just really tough to play against. So they can't really focus on one guy like Tatum and Brown and let him do his 8 turnovers in game 7, Nuggets can beat you from all angles. And when you talk about the Heat, what you just did, there's not a lot of depth outside of Jimmy, superstar-wise. Defensively, they're a little trouble too, because if you look at Adebayo, bad matchup with Jokic. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to double? I don't know. So they're going to have to get creative. That zone is going to have to work. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of Miami zone, and it's going to have to work.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be a nice chess match between Malone and Spoelstra. Really, two really good X's and O's coaches. So I can't wait to see that. Now, obviously, look, I mean, you already saw, you talked about the national pundits basically handing it to Denver. Well, DraftKings is doing that as well. I mean, listen, it's minus 400 for Denver to win the series. The Heat at plus 310. I actually think there's some value on the Heat here.
Yeah.
I do. We talk about this all the time. Yeah, the Nuggets are juiced up, but this is like the same thing, Dave. We watch this every series so far with the Heat. They've been the underdog. They've been the plus money favorite, right? They've been the value pick. So, I mean, why not throw a couple shekels over here at the Miami Heat to get some value here, plus 310? And because you never know, man. Listen, I will say this. One thing, Dave, that I took from that game, that closeout game is, I watched Jimmy get that trophy for MVP, and I watched no emotion. I watched him just walk directly into the locker room, just knowing in his head, man, this is nothing. Like, listen, it's great and all that I got the hardware for the, for the Eastern Conference final, but no, this is the NBA Finals is where it's at. So he's focused. So I really think that a focused Jimmy can really, really help.
No, it will. And he is going to be focused, dialed in. The length of Denver might give him some trouble. So as we saw, I think Boston ended up blocking him 13, 14 times in that series. Derek White gave him some trouble later in the series, but he started to figure it out. And Reggie Miller was making comments last night. He got rid of the pump fake and went right at him. And that really made him free him up a little more for his offensive game. I'll tell you, Jimmy's special. He really is. And we're going to see him have a special series. So let me get to one of the bets I do like with him. Because of Denver's length, I like Jimmy to go over. If you go on DraftKings, look for the 3-pointers made, 0.9 3-point per game. So on average. So that's minus 120. I think it's a good number. You go back to the series they just had. He had 8 3-pointers in 7 games. He had 3 goose eggs, but down the stretch in the last 2 games, he had 2 and 3. So when he saw some trouble down low and he saw they started playing him more physical and blocking him, he stepped out, made a couple threes. I think he'll be more apt to do that when they see Denver's length. So I like Jimmy to go over 1-3 a game per average in the finals from minus 120.
Yeah, I agree. My man C checking in says Adebayo tried to hand him the trophy. He literally said, "I'll grab the next one." I love it. And again, if you watch it, another fantastic PGA DraftKings right before us. So make sure and see. I put that bet on Kim for that first round leader. So let's see if that C has been hot on his first round.
They hit that first round leader
50 to 1, man.
Yeah, of the time. Yeah, it's all
50 to 1 for Siwoo Kim. I'm not even a freaking golf guy, man. I just listen, man.
Siwoo's all or nothing. So yeah, if you're gonna first round leader, a nice little bet there.
Yeah, I just listen and play. I listen. I love the 3-pointers made, Dave. I was looking at that. I was like, you're basically he just got to get one a game, and you saw, that he's very. Listen, he's comfortable with that one-legged 3-point shot. So I think he's going to have to make more threes. Now, if you look at this, if you pull the DraftKings line up and you look at the 0.9, to me, even though everybody's going to jump on a Jamal Murray wagon, I don't think there's any value in here over 3.6 at minus 115. There's no value there. Now, I will say I looked hard at Caleb Martin over over 2.2 at minus 110. Listen, they know what they're doing. If that was over 1.9, I'm all in, right? I mean,
here's the problem. You already said it earlier. Tyler Hero coming back throws any wrench into my Caleb Martin series bets. Here's the one Caleb Martin bet I do like. It's for him to grab 10 rebounds in any game, and that's plus 100. Last 2 games he started, he's grabbed 10 and 15 boards, playing over 40 minutes. He's getting down there, getting the dirty. First 2 games, Hero won't be back. I think he gets this for you early in the series. So for him to grab 10 boards in any game is plus 100 on the rebound prop for the series. So I like Caleb Martin to do that. But Tone, I would be with you with the over 3s. I just get a little nervous once Hero comes back, how they're going to use him. I believe it. Caleb Martin should get 35, 40 minutes now. He really should.
No,
and if he does, we're good with 2.2.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I mean, you again, this is why we do these shows. I mean, you could make a good point. Tyler Hero comes in, that's less minutes for Caleb Martin. I mean, let's be honest. You know what I mean? I mean, so I like that. I like that a lot, obviously. Now, speaking of, man, we got to do it, Dave. I know you got some fun bets, but let's just, finals MVP, man. Let's go there before finals MVP. Now, obviously it's going to be predicated on who you think's going to win. And right now on DraftKings, Jokic is minus 360, and the next closest guy is Jimmy Butler at plus 330. But I'm telling you, me personally, Dave, I've been on the guy, and I know everybody's talking about him, but I'm going to go with the dark horse here, and not, not to say dark horse, but for plus 1,400, 14-1, I like Jamal Murray. I really do. I think this could be his series.
All right, so I don't disagree with you. Caleb Martin should have won MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
Right? And there's no way they weren't giving that to Jimmy. It's going to be the same if Denver wins. Jamal Murray could average 40, and they're giving that trophy to Jokic. I'm not going to bet anybody on the Nuggets. In fact, I'm not even going to bet Jokic at the minus 360. I'm going to give you one instead that I like, that I think get you the same type of value. Well, better value, same bet. Jokic average triple-double for the finals is minus 125. If he averages a triple-double, he gets the MVP, right? So in my eyes, in my estimation, I'm going to go with that number, because even if they lose somehow, some way, he could still get that triple-double. So look, if I'm going to bet MVP, it is Jokic. I just got to pair it up with something else, and a lot of these sites don't let you parlay the MVP. So, I'm probably a lean off unless I do want to put 360 down, but that's the only guy I'm betting, because he didn't get the regular season MVP. There's no way. I'm telling you, he could average 10, 10, and 9, and he gets the finals MVP.
No, listen, I'll give you a different one now. How's this? Because I'm on the Murray wagon. I am. I've been on the Murray wagon.
I love Murray.
How about the player with the highest scoring single game performance in the finals?
Yep, plus 200.
Plus 200.
That's him. That's it. That's where I go with Murray. Yep. Murray's. I wrote that down. That's my other Denver bet. I think he'll have an explosive game somewhere in the 40s, one of these games. And Jokic won't have to get up to 40 because he's got so many other pieces he can move to. So I love that bet, Tone. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what you just said. Jokic is going to go so many different plays. I don't think Jimmy can get to that point to be honest with you. 30 is his ceiling to me. Because everybody else going to get involved.
Did you see that 50? If he got to 50, it's like 80 plus, or like 850. I'm like, I know he got to 50 in Milwaukee, but I don't think he can get there here.
Yeah, it's been a long grind, man. It's been a long grind, man. I mean, I know. Listen, I like to say Jimmy is just God, but he's going to eventually hit a little wall every now and then too. So, but yeah, I think that plus 200, I think is a great play for Jamal Murray. Any other fun bets you got, Dave?
No, that wraps it up. So the only other thing I'll get into is game one. And with that said, looking at the line, I'm going to go Heat plus the 9. I think there is some value in the fact that Denver's been off for so long. It might take them a little while to get into this game, which could also lead me towards the over. And I say that you would think that they're going to be sluggish, making shots is what I'm saying. No, I think they're just going to be sluggish in the gameplay. Maybe, let up some backdoors and some open shots for the Heat. And I think we could see a high-scoring first game. And I think the Heat, that's how you stay in this game. I think the Heat can stay within that plus 9. So I like the plus 9 the most, a little lean to the over, just because it might take Denver wake up a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. I do. I like it. I think, just, and again, make sure you're following WinDailySports.com. Make sure you're jumping into the Discord because, again, it's Tuesday right now, and there's still a couple days away. But, I know me and Dave personally will be throwing out some props out there. But I can tell you this, I'm more of a prop kind of guy, and I'm looking around, and one prop I will give you right now that I'm really going to look hard at, and it's early. I think this number will change. Duncan Robinson is over 8.5 points for -110. And listen, that's 3 3-pointers for Duncan Robinson.
Yeah,
And this,
I like it.
right? I mean, to me, this is a no-brainer. I expect this number to move to probably like -120, -130 by game time. But right now, -110, really close to plus money. Again, now here's the way I look at Dave. You got over 8.5 for -110, and I'm going to go to his 3-pointers made, and he's over 1.5 for -145. But here's the thing: if you combo them up, because you can combo them up, okay, you're going to get plus money. So if he's going to go over 1.5 threes, right? If he's going to go over 9, he's going to go back and forth. He's going to hit both of those bets. So
Yeah, I love it.
I love the Duncan Robinson play in game 1.
I think that's a great play. And here's the thing about Duncan Robinson. Watching the end of game 7, he closed out game 7. Gabe Vincent, I don't think, touched the court for the last like 12 minutes. He earned those minutes. I think we're going to see him grow into the role and even get a few more maybe in the series. Nothing against Gabe, but, I think Duncan brings just a little bit different of a dynamic. Those backdoor cuts he does, he did it on Horford, really helped. And when Lowry's in the game, they just see each other very well. So when Lowry's in, I think they're going to pair him up with Duncan and get some open shots. So I love your parlay there.
Yeah, just another note on that is Denver size, man. You got MPJ, you got Aaron Gordon, you got big bodies out there. And listen, Duncan Robinson at least has a little length, so I think you're going to see him play some more minutes in that. But Dave, anything final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I'll recap for you guys for the series. Looking at Denver, -1.5, -160. Denver also take on the 4-2 series correct score, +400. Also go with Jokic average triple-double, -125. Love the Tony bet. Murray with the highest scoring game in the series, +200. And 2 heat bets. Jimmy over 0.9 threes per game for the entire series. And then also Caleb Martin to grab 10 rebounds in any game in this series at +100, because you know how plus money does here.
Oh, plus money, baby. Plus money prop chance. That's the way we do it. So as always, man, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe button as always. And listen, man, game 1 is only a day and a half away, man. Cannot wait. So everybody, we'll catch you next time. Make sure you hop in Discord, get those props, and we'll see you for the showdown.